Welcome to a special episode of Rimshots With Sean right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. We've got a group of guys from a company you may have heard of, Yamaha, and a guy that represents Yamaha. We have Terry Hume, Ryan Trager, did I say Ryan? Josh Trager and Ryan Hamilton. So you can have your own podcast and mess stuff up. And we're here to talk Yamaha drums and everything. So for starters, Josh, you're here doing a clinic yesterday.
That's right.
Part of a reel. Have you been doing a few of them?
This was the fourth one I've done in front of a live audience.
So Terry told me you had a good crowd last night.
Yeah. Very much pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
The drum community of Halifax represented last night.
Really came together.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear because our city's been a little touch and go in terms of attending things, so that's really good to hear. When was the last time you played here with Sam?
Oh man, I think we were just talking about this. I might have. There was some event happening at the Scotiabank Arena, and I think it was like fall 2023, but I might be.
That was for the wildfires. That's exactly. I remember that
Does
because
that ring a bell?
Yeah, because my guitar player works for Sonic Events here, and he was part of the group that put it on.
Yeah. The Trues were on there as well, and I'm pretty sure that was the last time.
Amazing.
I can just quickly check in my phone just to be sure.
We'll get that. So Ryan, Terry was telling me, so you're now Yamaha. You're the Canadian rep for Yamaha.
Yeah, marketing manager, product manager for drums, acoustic and electronic.
Okay.
And then we also, Yamaha distribute nationally Peisty cymbals.
Okay.
So I kind of oversee those three categories.
Oh, you say Peisty?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So it's funny because I don't know what it is about here, but you don't see a lot of those around here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're kind of in Sabian territory to some extent.
Yeah.
Which are great cymbals, great Canadian-made cymbals, but yeah, Peisty's got kind of like that a bit of an allure, and they're not as accessible as some others. But we heard Peisty, by the great Chris McFarlane, playing them, last night locally, which was cool. But they're here and there.
My first experience with actually seeing them and hearing them. So Sean Kilbride from Haywire's from here. I grew up, idolizing Sean. And he had I remember we played with Kim Mitchell and he had the color tone ones and they were red Chinas. And he actually gave me two of the Chinas, which were really cool. But even if I go, and this isn't to call anybody out, but if I was to go to Long McQuaid, to get one in there, I might have to special order it or something. Like, is there a reason for that around here? Or?
I mean,
do you need somebody to start pushing these products out?
I know, right? It's it's a premium product for sure.
Yeah.
They're beautiful instruments. They come with a premium price.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a challenge to get them in the hands of more customers.
Sure.
To hear like a really high end, expensive Sabian cymbal, Zildjian, Peisty. A store, unfortunately, not everyone has the resources to have a full, full display of everything to try out. But it's always a challenge.
So we'll put a pin in that for when we get off camera. But I had a thought, so we can chat about that. And you know this, we did the E8010. We did it right here in this room, actually, on that set of drums.
I saw that video.
And it was, I hide my numbers for different reasons, but I can tell you we had well over, I think it was 15,000 views on that.
Amazing.
And was able to move 3 of those units.
Terrific.
So that's pretty cool. And I mean,
Josh, we used the E8010 as our kind of miking device last night at Josh's clinic, a week ago in Winnipeg at Josh's clinic.
Last year for all.
So let's keep going for a second.
Yeah.
So it was the first time, and Terry and I had talked about it. Yeah. It was the first time I had tried it, so I didn't know what to expect. And so what we did is we had the sound man, and we took the cell phone audio, and we took the board audio, and then he ran it into his Logic setup. And it was amazing for all 3 things because we did an A/B comparison.
Yeah, of course.
Do you use it live?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, but I know a lot of my peers do.
Yeah.
I just haven't found a practical application for it in a live setting, other than in the drum clinics. But I do use it, and I have used it a ton at home, especially paired with the Wreck and Share app. Because I don't know if you're familiar with the app, but
absolutely.
so you can remove the drums or I guess any instrument.
Sure.
And so for any instrumentalist, not just drummers, it's useful, right?
Yeah, totally.
But
the Wreck and Share app for those at home is it's a free app. great for doing, YouTube covers, for practicing. You can pitch, you can alter the pitch of a tune by slowing it down if you want to learn a particular drum part. And then the audio is clean. You've got all your effects for different enhancements that you want to add sound-wise to the kit. It's an amazing device.
I had a bunch of friends that had that unit, and I was like, everybody was telling me it's great, you got to try it. And so when I said to Terry, I mean, you remember, I said, man, how do we get our hands on it? And I remember we plugged it in, and it was just like, man, it was magic. It's like,
I remember watching the video here with your.
It was Bruce Nelson, who is the sound guy, and Zach Lacey, who's the house setting.
Right.
And I was just like, why have I not been doing it? And now, talk about applications. So Francis Ruiz, who's the drummer of Buck Cherry, who I've got to know really well, he uses them for his on-stage intermix.
Okay.
Because he finds every hall that he plays, everything sounds a little bit different, so he has a consistent sound.
There
so
you go.
Right? I was like, yeah, Francis, he's a smart man.
Does he pair it with the close mic drums, or does he just use?
Nope, he has two.
Wow,
so he's running his own little kind of unit that he controls, and then he has full monitors, so he's getting thump, and then he's got one of the the butt shaker sort of thing. Francis got all the things.
All the gadgets.
That's too
Have you used one
overwhelming
of those
for
before?
me. Yeah, I find it very overwhelming.
So I was doing a show, and I was in Moncton this year, and I was using the guy that invited us, and he had one of the what's the it's not the butt cheek, but it's the high end one. Like it's $2,700 for a throne or something.
Davison Porter.
That's what it is, 100%. And so he said, "Yeah, it'll rock your guts." So anyway, I play heel up, heel down, and every time I put my heel down, it was like, oh, and I wasn't even hitting the drum, but it was like it took me like a good 20 minutes to get used to it.
Yeah,
but life changing. Question I have for you, because we talk about this quite a bit. And you mentioned YouTube and stuff. So you've been doing the same gig for 20 years. So do you remember how you actually got that gig? Were you referred? Did you know him? Did you audition? How did that come about?
I was referred, and sort of by the time that I would have had an audition or like that type of vetting period, it was kind of too late in their schedule because they just needed someone stat. Just like summer festival season was fast approaching. Like we're talking like I think maybe 2 weeks away from when I first like jammed or like quote unquote audition.
Yeah.
So I think if I just shat the bed, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But I knew the songs and everything, and I did a decent job, so they were kind of stuck with me. Yeah, but
so in this, because I do have a lot of people that think, oh, it's about, you got to have the best chops of everybody, and everybody that I talk to because I know, but I tell people and they don't listen, but somebody else does, and they will. And everybody says you got to be a good hang first, you got to be prepared, you got to be somebody that other people want to be around.
Yeah,
and the talent can be over here. I mean, you got to have the talent, but you got to have the total package, right?
yeah,
You'll appreciate this. The drummer, very famous drummer, who said the exact same thing to me one time.
Yeah.
And it might have been in a drum clinic. Was Kenny Aronoff.
I was just that's who I was thinking.
That's
of.
I mean,
that's who I was
his
thinking of.
his mantra is to be successful. You got to be a professional.
Yeah.
You show up early. You show up more prepared than the next guy. The skill, the talent, the chops will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Be a good hang, be a good person, and that's going to take you totally far.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, let's call it what it is. Who takes more grief than drummers, right? And I mean, I saw a great meme, and it's become my life. It says drummers because guitar players need heroes too.
Yeah.
Right on that.
So they put me to that. They put me through like a summer trial period.
Okay.
Of, so there was some mild hazing, but so that my position was more solidified after the summer, I suppose. But the hazing has continued to this day.
Yeah, well, there you go. Right?
20 years in.
20 years.
Well, the day that it stops is probably the day you got to start thinking, okay, maybe I'm not welcome around here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'll go over to Terry for a second. We don't want to exclude the keyboard player. So Terry would be your Atlantic Canadian
drummers need heroes too, right?
Yeah.
Well
It
played.
won't be for keyboard players, I'll tell you that. Although you're a step above bass players. But anyway, so you're the Atlantic Canadian rep for.
Yes.
So you're all over the place. You were telling me before the boys showed up that you're literally in hotels and. How's the how's business right now in terms of, you know, people are obviously buying. I'm seeing Yamaha everywhere.
There's a lot of, I mean, tariffs obviously that's
Yeah.
on the mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we're recovering from COVID, and it's just, you know, if you're flatlining in sales, that's kind of the new up these days. You know, there's so many unknowns. It's hard to answer that because there's so many unknowns these days, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I'm a big Sopranos fan, and there's a line where, you know, Tony says, there's a lot of competition for the entertainment dollar, right?
Yeah.
But that is, you know, service, I guess, is still key, right? I mean, you guys have a top-notch product. Everybody knows that. I mean, Yamaha has always been, you know, everything has been up there. So service, I guess, is a key factor.
Oh yeah, we pride ourselves on that. You know, we always want to make sure the customer's well looked after.
Yeah.
And, you know, provide white glove service if we can.
Yeah.
You know, and
Having a Canadian subsidiary.
Yes.
You know, like we're not just a distribution company that's handling a brand. You know, we've got our warehouse and main service depot in Toronto. We've got a warehouse in Vancouver.
Yeah.
But having it be like a Canadian-based team is
having,
I think helpful on that service.
And having dealers with salespeople that like can look after the customers well. Like we work with like Long McQuaid and some of the other dealers. You know, they all have qualified staff that if something goes wrong with the drum or whatever, you know, they usually can look after the problem or source somebody who can look after it.
So, and I will say I'm an artist of another label, except I use the Yamaha, and I'm gonna not geek out here because I'm not really a gear guy, but it's a top line one. It's a chain drive, it's not the direct drive. Double pedal.
FP9.
Thank you. And it's amazing. It's all, when I used it first, it was almost too fast. Because I'm so used to I mean, nothing against, you know, a DW, but it's like the left one just always seems, and this one was just and I find now that when I go back on that, if I'm not practicing on it for a bit, it's like, oh, settle down there.
It's hard. I mean, you know, something like that. You can explain it even better than me. But like, great, like going from brand to brand.
Yeah.
You know,
too good.
if you're not used to something like a pedal is a very personal.
Oh my God.
You know, choice on field, chain drive, direct drive.
Well, I use the direct drive, and basically, you know, Nelson at Long McQuaid, love you, Nelson. He forgot to tell me, muscle memory being a thing. And what I found was I just wasn't used to the way it reacted. But then I get the chain drive, and that's what I use. That's my go-to.
Shout out to Nelson, who was a big help last night in our clinic. He provided a loaner double pedal Yamaha for Josh to use just in case. He attended the clinic last night, so
Nelson's good people, and he's very knowledgeable and very patient and great at helping you when you're trying to source something, try something or whatever. So when you're out, you guys are probably getting ready to do some summer shows and stuff. Is that so I'm probably certain you're probably a backline guy. You got to use backline and shows and stuff like that. You get to bring much of your own gear. I mean, you obviously ask for Yamaha as much as you can.
Oh yeah, for sure. I try to bring as little as possible, just out of laziness. No, but we travel like as a group. We travel with certain things that we need, and we divide it amongst everyone. And so oftentimes part of what I have to bring ends up being like our mic kit or our monitor rig. So I usually just bring, like, I use electronics, so I bring just that pretty much.
do you bring your own pedals?
I don't. No. But when I'm playing a show, I like to have a comfortable pedal, but I'm not as exposed as doing a clinic, and that's why I brought my own pedal to the clinic, because it's, out of fear, really.
Well, it's a very
personal thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, because here's the thing, right? I mean, we all know this, but musicians are always the ones that who they are, because they're like this. You're doing a drum clinic, and it's 50 drummers all going like
That's
this, right? So how long have you been doing the clinic?
I only started doing them last year.
Okay.
Yeah, and each one of them is nerve-wracking in their own way, but also incredibly gratifying in their own way.
Super interesting to hear Josh has played like stadiums and arenas and like big festivals, and You know, it's a totally different ball game being in front of a room, much smaller numbers, but all the attention on you, all eyes on you, and you know, a room of, you know, kind of like drummer, you know, counterparts. It's like, you know, and they're like, you know, analyzing and, you know, like really, you know, locking in on him as a solo guy. Like, it's a totally, I mean, I've never played to a stadium, but I can imagine it being a very different experience.
Well, here's the neat thing. You get somebody that's like, oh, well, you kind of duff that up. Yeah, well, I get to go play with Sam Roberts all this summer. What are you doing, right? I mean, not to be too much of a jerk, but I mean, you know, I've got a thing where if you're up doing something and I'm not, whether I like what you're doing or not, you got my respect. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to fold my arms because you're doing something and I'm sitting in the audience drinking beer. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that, but you do find it nerve-wracking when you're doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I also don't criticize the doers.
Yeah.
You know, because like just instant respect for someone doing whatever it is.
I love that. Don't criticize the doers. Well, in this very room, so I've got a band with my girlfriend Michelle. Our first show was here 2021. And packed room, and 10 minutes beforehand, a friend of mine comes up and he goes, Sean, there's 12 drummers here. And all I could think of is, well, I get their $10. They can do anytime they want, whatever, right? Because it was just like, I did the work, the band did the work, it's going to go good. It doesn't matter who's here to run my page. You know, if you're here to see me fail, if I do fail, you know, it's not going to be a massive fail. But so I'd love to see musicians get over that whole, you know.
Josh, you said you explained last night at the clinic about, you know, pushing yourself, not being afraid, not being like, you know, hindered just by like fear of failing. That you've got to, you need to push yourself, and you know, if it does happen, at least you tried. You feel good in putting the effort in.
Exactly.
And I thought that resonated with people.
Yeah, that was especially like that point was also about like remembering and finding the like kind of inner child. That when you started playing, you played with more of a reckless abandon.
Absolutely.
And now, you know, the older you get, it's like you have more of a sense of responsibility in life. But that applies to your playing as well. And so, in doing that and embarking on that journey, you know, somewhere along the way you lose a little bit of, like, you lose touch with that guy in there, that little kid in there. Yeah. So that was kind of what I was saying, like, to try to be a bit less fearful when in your, you know, in your approach. Take some risks.
Well, it is funny because I mean everybody's been there. We've all been there as musicians where you're in your basement and on your own, and you're thinking, "Man, won't it be great when I play in front of a crowd someday?" Then you play in front of a crowd, and you go, "Wouldn't it be great if I could just get back in my basement?" You know what I mean? You're never happy. You're never satisfied, right? So, in terms of when you guys take on a fella like this fella Josh or whatever, what's a brand ambassador like for you? Like, what do you guys look for? And this would be a question for people that think they want to come knocking on your door.
You know, like the first thing that I kind of factor in is, you know, what's the person's familiarity with the brand? You know, are they already playing our stuff? Do they have a respect for the product itself? The line. It's not essential. It's not, you know, an absolute, you know, mandatory. But you know, it helps. Like Josh grew up loving certain Yamaha products. He had an affinity for some. He was aware of it and had a certain respect for it. You know, beyond that, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, the biggest thing is, you know, where can the relationship go that is truly a win-win for both sides? It's got to be, you know, mutually, you know, beneficial and not just one-sided of someone looking for, you know, hookups on gear or pricing, or the company just wanting just to mooch on a certain level of exposure. So, you know, going back to what we talked about a couple minutes ago, like, be a good person first and foremost. Be professional and respectful. Be positive. You know that what you want to bring is something that is going to be helpful for, you know, for everybody. I mean, that's where the conversation, you know, always starts. And ultimately, you know, if there is an opportunity to raise the awareness and exposure of our brand or of a certain product, then, you know, let's have a conversation and see where it goes, and how can we help each other grow to whether it's someone just starting out and helping them kind of move through their career. And getting more eyeballs and just kind of spreading our word, our message is important.
It's a great point because, like I found with the EAG10 as an example, we did the review and I got a bunch of people that, and I wouldn't consider myself a super technical guy. So Zach Lacey, who helped us with it, Zach's the guy, here's the manual, Zach, tell me how to work. I mean, I know what I like and what not. So I would refer them over to Zach, but I mean, it was that was good because people saw it. And, I would never score somebody in a review. Like, if I didn't like the product, I'd just say, can't do it or whatever. That thing, I mean, it sung the second we fired it up, and we literally did nothing. Like,
out of the box,
It was amazing. And it's a good point of what you're saying, because I think sometimes people work their tails off to get that deal.
100%.
And then they just skate.
So I call it, I see it often, people just collecting logos.
Yep.
They're just kind of like trying to amass, like, I gotta get my cymbal endorsement. I mean, my drums, my sticks, and my heads.
Yep.
And that person, maybe they are on the right track, but maybe they're not quite there yet for what they can offer. And it's the drummer or musician that's endorsing the product, the company.
Yeah.
It's not the product company endorsing.
Great point.
The person.
Great point.
But there needs to be benefit going both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And in turn, and I tell people this all the time, like, a company doesn't want an ambassador that's posting all kinds of crazy nonsense online or getting in fights in bars.
Yeah.
It really wants, you got to maintain some decorum, but then more importantly, you got to keep it afterwards, right? So you always got to be cognizant of that.
I also think it's shifted in recent years.
Yeah.
With social media, I think the stereotypical like artist of the past, like there could be a whole range of different artists these days. And some of them might just be guys who are just influencers, social content creators who just do product reviews. Maybe they're not playing in a band, doing festivals, touring, being in iconic Canadian or international level things. But and with drums also, it's like as drummers we use multiple different pieces. Josh uses electronics from one company, drums from another company, cymbals from another company. So there could be kind of like some crossover in that area. It doesn't have to be just I'm in a touring band and that person is only open to getting endorsement deals. Like you could be literally doing stuff in your basement, amass a huge following that's influential and impactful, and those people are almost just as deserving of brand support as
and sometimes even
traditional
more
guys.
so because
And
that's all
more
they do. I mean, I know the guitar player in Slayer has a funny line now. He goes, I'm not a musician, I'm a t-shirt salesman.
Okay.
And everybody now, the hot thing is it's like, you're a musician with the content creation, because it's like, it's a tough go, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it on a regular basis, if you're not trying, you're dying is kind of the thing. So those guys are key because they're constantly doing
Absolutely.
it, right? And what do you use for live setup?
Like what? Drums, but everything?
Just give us the skinny.
Okay. A few words from the old guard of musician. Although I do try to stay above water in terms of social media. So I live for the last 7 years or so. I've been using the recording custom. Varying tom sizes.
Rotating configuration.
Rotating configuration. Right now I'm doing a 13 and up and a 16 floor tom.
Nice.
But an idea I got from Gary Craig, and I thought it made a lot of sense.
5-6 years ago, you were 10, 12, 14, 16.
Yeah, I was exactly 10, 12, 14, 16, and then we were doing a couple of bigger shows, so I moved to 12, 13, 14, 16, and just almost every configuration. It's like an identity crisis. I just don't know, but I've settled for live for the last while on the one up, one down. There's less to think about.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's totally practical.
Gets it through. Oh yeah.
And I use 2 hi-hat stands live as well, and that's also a focal point of what I talk about in the clinics. One of them has a tambourine on it.
Okay.
So, which I use for like, to add percussion, like more than just having.
Is that a true hi-hat stand or like an X-hat?
It's a true hi-hat stand. Yeah. So I can do like 16th note.
Yep.
Full like tambourine parts with it.
Which is such a cool layer to the song. Like you said, you bring that little like secret weapon of yours to a gig, whether it's Sam or other people that he plays with, and a certain chorus. Just having that layered, tambourine, and he's getting the downstroke and the upstroke because he's operating with his foot, and it just adds an extra texture. And it's great.
It's like really lifts. Like not a lot of people do that. That's why it's something I feel like that I can. But when I do the clinics, it's something that I can offer that's maybe unique. The 2 hi-hat stands, and I use a cowbell and Sabian cymbals, FP9, usually bass drum pedal, and a single. When I play with the band, I only use a single pedal. At home, I'm always working on the double pedal stuff, and in the clinics and stuff, I throw it in there a little bit. And like one crash to my left. I'll get to that. One crash to my left, right, crash, 2 crashes to my right. So yeah. Oh, and I usually also, if it's not a backline situation, we're using our own gear, I'll use a closed hat on the so I can play hats when I'm doing the tambourine thing. And then if it's backline, who cares? I'll just play it on the ride. It doesn't really matter all that much, but it's nice to have when I can. And the snare drum is also recording custom brass 6.5 by 14.
Nice. Don't be like me. I went and got a snare. I won't say the brand because that's different brand, but I thought it was a 14 by 6.5. It was a 13 by 7. So when I set it up on the kit, it was too high. And anyway, so that's a little lesson to your kids. So we got to get out of here because people's attention spans are brutally low. We know this. So where do I send people if they want to find out more about what you're doing?
I mean, certainly Yamaha. Yamaha.ca is, we post our events and, any product information. And certainly the Yamaha website is the go-to. Instagram at YamahaCanMusic.ca. That's our Yamaha Canada thing. We post about, events like, drum clinics and, other instrument, events that we got going on. We're always trying to, stay active with putting that stuff out. So yeah, those are the two spots for any Yamaha news stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And what about you, Josh? What's going on with you guys coming up?
Coming up? Well, a bunch of different pretty cool shows, different festivals and things over the summer. We're playing with Def Leppard in St. John's.
How fun will that be?
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Looking forward to meeting Rick Allen.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. And then I think we're playing with like Nickelback and who else? Weezer, and then a whole bunch of other like fun ones that we're headlining all over the country.
Sam Roberts' website, best place to go for that stuff?
Yeah, for the band, Sam Roberts Band, for Instagram, for, I guess now we're on TikTok, Facebook, website, pretty easy to find. For me, Josh Trager, my Instagram is at JTrager, TRAGER24.
That's Captain Josh Trager, you people out there. And Terry, so you'll see Terry around. Terry is in the Fisher King, so I have the pleasure of subbing in with every now and again, which is fun. And I want to thank you for doing this, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
We made her happen on a Friday, crazy for Friday afternoon.
Is that what day it is?
Oh my God! Well, and then here's the thing, and I'm gonna end with this. So I was in Cuba a month ago doing an '80s theme thing, and I left on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. We have to get up to go to the airport. It's like 32 degrees.
A little better weather than this.
Oh my God! It's like we haven't even. I don't think we're gonna see 32 here. I don't know. We're just gonna have a straight this summer. So hey guys, look them up. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao.